Okay, so the Red River rivalry, it's here, and people are telling you, if you're an Oklahoma fan, that this is not a favorable matchup, that Oklahoma's going to get blown out. You should take the 14.5 points that Texas has in this game, and Texas might just score over 50, which, if you're an Oklahoma fan and you know the history of this game, Texas has never scored more than 50 points in this game. Actually, they never scored more than 49 in that 49-0 victory from Oklahoma a couple of years ago. And yet they're sitting here looking at Brent Venables' best defense at Oklahoma, where we haven't allowed more than 25 points in one game this year, saying we're about to hang 50 on them. That's what Texas fans think. So I'm here to tell you today why I think they're wrong and what potentially could happen in this game, what Oklahoma needs to do to win it, because this game is winnable for Oklahoma. It's not going to be the game that a lot of people tell you it's going to be, or at least it shouldn't be the kind of game that people are telling you it's going to be. And Oklahoma, they don't have to play like a clustered game against Texas, right? They just need to play their game. They need to continue to improve the way they have all season. And I think that's where we got to start, right? Because last week against Auburn, you saw it a little bit against Tennessee. This team is continually improving, especially with Michael Hawkins at the quarterback position. And you saw it with the offensive line. They had their best week last week. And you're probably going to see the same offensive line, or move Sexton to left tackle, move Taylor to the bench to back up Sexton or Tarquin, and move Troy Everett into that left guard spot. You're not going to see hardly any change up at all. And you would imagine with 2 weeks of rest, guys like a Jake Taylor and a Branson Hickman are potentially going to be a little bit healthier than they have been because, well, the bye week couldn't have just came at a better time than the week before Texas. And that's also something that I think helps Oklahoma out quite a bit. And we've talked about this multiple times throughout the week, which is Oklahoma needed this bye week before Texas to help Michael Hawkins out a little bit, because now you're going to see Seth Littrell switch the playbook a little bit to be more of a Seth Littrell offense. And it gave Michael Hawkins time to learn the playbook a little bit more, get it under his feet, and also just practice with some of these wide receivers. Remember, he was practicing with, well, I say the second stringers, which is who's out there, because Oklahoma is still going to be without their top 5 wide receivers in this game. Deion Burks, a guy that you potentially thought could come back, he is going to be out. So big loss for Oklahoma there. And quite frankly, if Oklahoma loses this game, I think that's the area that you point to on this team that says that might have cost us the game. Because if Oklahoma loses, it's because the offense didn't move the ball, right? That's going to be what it is. If Oklahoma's moving the ball against Texas, they're going to win this game. And if they're not moving the ball and you look at it and say, well, we're without our top 5 wide receivers, that's why you lost against Tennessee. That's why you're going to lose Texas. And it's not really an excuse. It's just reality. And so I look at it for Oklahoma and I say, all right, so what do they need to do against Texas to be able to actually win this game? And you need to do something that you have not been able to do all season. You need to go out there and control the time of possession, which means on the offensive side of the ball, you need to take advantage of your opportunities in the run game and take advantage of those opportunities even when you're not moving the ball well. And here's what I mean by this. You can't have minute and a half, 3-and-out drives. You can't have that. You need to be able to go out there and you need to be able to tick the clock down from 40 all the way down to 1. And you need to be able to knock off, if you're going to go 3-and-out, you need to be able to knock off almost 2 minutes of time. But in reality, if you're going to go 3-and-out, you'd rather go 6-and-out and knock probably 5 minutes off the clock, right? You need to control the time of possession, limit Texas's opportunities, and do what most teams around college football are making the best teams in the country do. Take advantage of your opportunities. You need to make Texas take advantage of them, because Quinn Ewers, he's getting his first start since, I think it's been 2 games. It'd be 3 or 4 weeks since he's actually been on the field. This is going to be big for him. There might be a little bit of rust there. Might be. Who knows? Maybe Quinn Ewers doesn't have any rust, but there might be a little bit of rust there from him being on the bench, letting Arch Manning take the reins, right? Being injured, sitting out. If that's the case, the Oklahoma defense, we know because we saw it last year, and this is very similar to the defense that we had last year in terms of personnel that is out there. They can make Quinn Ewers pay. Now, towards the second half of the game last year, Quinn Ewers really found his stride. I think he went 31 of 36. So If you get that same Quinn Ewers, it's going to be a struggle for Oklahoma, but you need to make Quinn Ewers turn the ball over, create those forced fumbles, get those interceptions. If Oklahoma wins the turnover battle, they're winning this game because Oklahoma is +8 in the turnover margin. They have 13 turnovers already this season. This is a team that they're built on creating that havoc for the opposing offense. And that goes into probably the third point for Oklahoma and what they need to be able to do to beat Texas, right? You've done a really good job at creating havoc on the offensive side, on the opposing offensive side of the ball. You need to be able to go out there and get at least 5 sacks in this game. You need to make Quinn Ewers, or if they put Arch Manning in the game, you need to make the Texas quarterbacks feel uncomfortable. And Oklahoma has done a good job against other teams this season in the pass rush, right? Our Mason Thomas has got 5.5 sacks. I think he's, if not one of the leaders in the country, he's dang near close to being one of the leaders in the country in sacks. And so you look at what Oklahoma needs to do in the pass rush. You want to see more out of PJ Adebawore. You would love to see Ethan Downs recreate the iconic photo that he had against Quinn Ewers last year where he was just towering over him, right? And Quinn Ewers looked like maybe he was being a little bit reserved right there. But you want to see the Oklahoma defensive line be just as aggressive as they have been all year. But that also comes to question, are you going to be able to apply that kind of pressure with a 3-man front? Because I think that's what Oklahoma fans, including myself, are expecting Oklahoma to put out there on defense. You expect Oklahoma to put out a 3-man front, drop 6 guys back, and again, make Quinn Ewers read your defense, make the mistakes, because Texas in the running game, remember, they're without, I think, their top 2 running backs this season. So their running game, it's not where I think they expected it to be. And if you're Oklahoma, you got to take advantage of that because you have been so good in run defense this year that you need to be able to go out there and you need to be able to suffocate those holes and you need to be able to drop the Texas running backs in the backfield, which I believe they're going to do because they haven't shown us that they can't do it this season, even against Auburn's rushing attack, which, guys, Jaquez Hunter, their running back, really, really good. Now, if you're Oklahoma, though, and you're looking at the Texas offense, I think the one glaring point that you have to look at to say this could be a problem for us is those Texas wide receivers. And I took a look at it. Guys, I did not realize this. Texas has 17 passing touchdowns this year. Absolutely insane. Isaiah Bond has cemented himself as wide receiver run in this room. But Ryan Wingo and Matthew Golden, they have absolutely been weapons for Arch Manning and Quinn Ewers, both over 200 yards. You've got Gunnar Helm at the tight end position. This is going to be the area where I think Oklahoma is going to have to make a change, right? We've talked about it earlier this year, but you had Kenai Walker and Woody Washington. Those are the 2 corners that you look at on this team and say, one of them's got to go because you don't have enough depth to replace both of them yet. And I made probably the unpopular take earlier this week, but I said, you've got to bench Woody and you've got to put Eli Bowen in there. And I get it. He's 5'9.5". A lot of people think that size is going to kill you, but Eli Bowen has been one of the best coverage corners in terms of the PFF grades for Oklahoma this season that we have on this team. And against some of these elite wide receivers and rising star wide receivers that Texas has, you need to be able to put your best of the best on them, and you need to make them feel uncomfortable, right? Eli Bowen was a guy that did that all throughout Texas high school football. People did not want to throw to his side of the field, and you need to make Quinn Ewers kind of have those same reservations. So looking at Oklahoma, right, you got to stop this passing game. If you can make Texas be one-dimensional, and make them be one-dimensional in terms of they need to run the ball, you're winning this game pretty handily at that point. So if you're Oklahoma, right, got to get the run game going. Make Texas lean on their run game. Take the passing game away. Create the turnovers. Create those pressures in the backfield. These are all things we've seen Oklahoma do outside of just have a running game this season, right? On the defensive side of the ball, we've seen Oklahoma do every single little bit of this. This is not something where you should see the Texas fans say, we're going to beat Oklahoma 52-17 or 52-13, and it's going to be a roll, right? You know, I've seen these Texas fans just, they're so high on Texas being number 1, kind of forgetting you guys have Georgia next week. Like, there is a small chance that some of these guys on this Texas team are overlooking Oklahoma, looking at the University of Georgia because, well, quite frankly, to me, as the number 1 team in the country, you get Georgia on your schedule, they're the team you play next week. I feel like that's the game you'd be looking forward to. Not all Texas players are going to be overlooking Oklahoma, but some might be, and Oklahoma's got to be able to take advantage of that because you only play South Carolina. There is no reason for you to be looking ahead to playing somebody else next week like it's a bigger game because Texas is probably going to have game day next week. And I think they also have Formula One next week in Austin too. So it's going to be a busy week there. So the question is now, right, where do I think Oklahoma, or where do I think the score ends, right? And I want to look at it this way. Looking at the last 10 results, and I'm going to share my screen here so that y'all can see it. Thank you to Fox Sports for the graphic here. Awesome graphic. But over the last 10 results, right, Oklahoma has won 7 times. Now, I do not believe that this graphic, it does not have the other 2019 year where I think we beat them in the I don't know. What was the Kyle Murray? 2018. Yes. Okay. No, it does have the 2018 year. So the past 10 times you played Oklahoma or Texas, Oklahoma's beat them 7 times. Obviously, only 6 times in the Red River rivalry. So you look at this game, Oklahoma's been very dominant, but there's also been years that Oklahoma, like, they've gotten lucky to win the games. 2020, 2021. Those are the years you look at and say you had Caleb Williams' year. You know, that was a game that you were down 28-7. Then you look at 53-45. I don't think the deficit was that big, but if you're Oklahoma, like, you had to come back and win that game as well. So if you look at this, like, Oklahoma's had to have some Sooner magic. You don't want to see that this week, but last year was an incredible game. You want to see these two teams build on it. So looking at the history, right? And again, understanding Texas has not scored more than 49 points in this game. I've got to believe that although the spread is at 14 and a half, and although the over-under is only at 48 or 54 and a half, I've got to go that this is going to be a fairly lower scored game, but Oklahoma is going to win it 31-27. Texas is not going to cover that spread. Even if they beat Oklahoma, I'm confident they're not covering that spread. I know I'm going to get clipped for it. If somehow they do, I'm going to get eaten alive by Texas fans. I just don't see it happening. And I know Texas fans have been saying, hey, well, we don't see Oklahoma beat us happening. Well, I think it's a little bit more likely Oklahoma beats you than you cover the 14.5 point spread. So looking at this game, Oklahoma, you come out, you win it, you're 5-1. Texas goes to 5-1. You knock off the number 1 team in the country. You have a lot of momentum in this game, and I think that's what Oklahoma's going for. You've got Deshaun McCullough back. You've got Taylor Tatum, and I said this in the Discord, but I think this is the game where you see Michael Hawkins get 250 passing yards. Taylor Tatum, he's the first running back this season for Oklahoma to get to 100 yards. I think you're going to see a receiver get to 100 yards. This is the game that Oklahoma, I think, puts it together on offense. You're going to see the offensive line gel and mesh together. Again, normally you see the offensive line gel and mesh together around the Red River rivalry. I think this game is for Oklahoma. I've got them 31-27. If you guys have made it this far and you guys have not already, make sure you guys hit that like and you hit that subscribe button. If you guys are listening to this on any of the podcast platforms, make sure you give me 5 stars, leave me a review. But we will see you guys on Sunday.